Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smile and Faces podcast. Hear that one right, Mark? Always Smile and Faces podcast?
That's the one.
That is the one. Got it right this time. So, it might be the Gallowgateshots podcast. We don't know. Right, so we are here to give a preview for the upcoming game against Southampton. Southampton on the back of an absolute hiding by Manchester United. And I am joined by Mark Walker and Deka here. How are you, boys? You've just had your first appearance on Extra Time. Did that go well?
I really enjoyed it, mate. Honestly, it was really, really good. It was nice to just have a better host. Obviously, is always nice. No, it was a good loan deal. That's what Jess was saying. So it was good crack. It was good.
Did you keep yours on a leash? No argument between yourselves?
Oh no,
good behavior. Would you believe Deka actually agreed with us?
Did he? Good as gold, why is?
That's how
mind you, Mark,
normal it was.
I tried my best not to, though, didn't I? I was I can't.
You did.
Right, let's get down to business, boys. So Newcastle United on the back of another defeat, this time at the hands of Crystal Palace, but we did see life in their team. They were trying to score goals. A lot of them went over the bar, the shots, but looking ahead at that game, what are your expectations? Not necessarily score lines, but I'll start with you, Mark. What are your expectations for this one?
It's going to be a tough game because Southampton are going to come wanting to revenge, obviously, the absolute hammering that they've just received. Getting beat 9-0 once, let alone twice, is unheard of. So they're going to want to put that right. So they'll be coming for a tails right up. For us, it's a massive game. I almost look at it as being a must-win game in the grand scheme of things because we've got a couple of tough fixtures coming up on the back of it, and that bottom three is getting ever closer as the weeks go by. So it's one where we need to go into it making sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to win the game.
Yeah, over you, Deka. Anything to add to that one?
Not really. I think it's. I mean, first of all, I just want to say something about Southampton. I mean, I think they're a side which you would certainly say this season have played some amazing football. You know what I mean? And there was a time where they were in the top four, I believe, or even top of the league or something. You know what I mean? We all know they're not going to stay there, but to see a team like that get beaten 9-0 twice, you know, it's just unbelievable. I find that incredible. And you could say it's one of them, isn't it? You could say you're playing them at the best time ever because they've just been absolutely embarrassed. But then you could also say you're playing them at the worst possible time because they're wanting to try and obviously make a difference and sort of a bit of revenge. But I think what you said there about the Palace game, I think again we did see a better performance from us, and I'm quite confident, you know, that we will play the same way. And if we play the same way, then we've got a chance. If we revert to type and go back to what we've been saying previous, then we'll get beat. But honestly speaking, if we can play like we did against Everton or similar to the Palace game, I think we've got a chance.
The thing is that
history's on our side as well.
Well, the Southampton game, Southampton are going to set up very similar to how Crystal Palace set up. They're basically going to sit back and let us have the ball, something which we're not very good at doing. We're not very good with the ball. We are a much better team on the counter-attack when we basically sit back, defend, then see what happens. It's been the same for years now. It was the same under Rafa. We're 4 minutes in, I've mentioned Rafa. But that's
almost
what worries
negative
me.
Like as well.
Yeah,
be careful.
No, well, it's not necessarily a negative, but it is only the top teams who do normally play well with the ball the majority of the time. When Newcastle have a lot of possession, we look worse than what we do with less possession. That's what worries me going into the game. And like you've said there, Deka, that you can look at it two ways. Either Southampton just being on the back of that absolute thrashing, and they'll be embarrassed, and Newcastle could go and take advantage of that, or tails could be up, like Mark said, and they could want to prove a point and say we're not as bad as what that result made will look like. Either way, it doesn't matter because Newcastle United is always that team that are going to make you look better than what you are. That's the worrying thing. It doesn't matter how the other team are playing and what their form is like. It's Newcastle United at the end of the day. Deka, you did say there, obviously, if we do play how we played against Crystal Palace, then we should be okay. But we weren't against Crystal Palace.
No, you're absolutely correct. I think also what I wanted to mention just before there was the reaction on social media surprised us, if I'm honest, because I hadn't been on my phone when we did the live one at all, and we did the sort of the review of the game, and I still hadn't been on. And when I went on, I was actually really surprised at how negative people were to the performance. Like, people were saying it's a disgrace, it's an embarrassment, he's got to go, blah, blah. And I thought, God, I actually thought we were okay. The point you make is a valid one. I do think, though, that what I was kind of meaning is, like, if we approach the game in that way and can play like that, we'll give ourselves a chance. And seeing how poorly them defended against Man United, I mean, we're not Man United, but seeing how badly them defended, I feel if we have Alma on, we'll have St. Maximin maybe starting, Wilson, we will create chances, and I think we can hurt them. I really do.
Yeah, so you mentioned obviously St. starting there, Mark. I'll come to you. The only 2 injuries which I've known, obviously, I don't think Bruce has done his press conference as of yet. But the only 2 injury concerns are Lascelles definitely going to be ruled out because he's got a thigh injury, and Federico Fernandez, another thigh injury for another defender. But those 2 are the ones that are missing. Seems like everybody else is available. Could even see Christian Atsu named in the 25-man squad. So we've got a free space.
That was the breaking news today, wasn't it? And you can just see the quotes now. It's like signing a new player, getting them back into the squad. But
I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but do you feel it was a little bit harsh on Atsu to not get that squad place? Because he wasn't a world beat, of course he wasn't, but he wasn't as bad as what we've seen so far. Is he worse than Murphy?
No, I think it's when you look at the strength that we've got. Well,
strength
we've got probably more so we had at the start of the season. When you look at that left wing position, you had Saint would sign Fraser, Richie can play there, so there probably wasn't a place for him on that left hand side. Whereas obviously we know then we had a whole host of injury problems down there, which we probably could have done with having him in. It was a surprise that he didn't get a squad number, and Murphy, who you've just mentioned, did. But we know Bruce likes Murphy from his time when he had him on loan at Sheffield. So that kind of, explains why that one went. And he played a lot in the pre-season. But it's another option, isn't it? I mean, it's a funny one, because if you look at any of the fringe players that are there, the one I'd probably be looking at would be Henri Sevier. But like, as we've said multiple times on the podcast, he's played under a few different managers, and none of them have fancied him. So what is going on in the background for him not to get a number?
I think obviously you mentioned Henri Sevier there, but I think you've got to look a lot closer at what's happened recently, and obviously Joel Willock. Do you think he'll start this game? Because let's give him a chance here. It's up against Southampton. Newcastle, this is the game in the next run of games where you would expect to at least pick a single point up, and it's going to give Newcastle United a lot more time on the ball. So this is the ideal game to start him in. Let him get used to his teammates. You have to start him in this one.
Yeah, well, we've only lost one against Southampton in the last 15 games. So that's what I was going to say earlier. There's like history's on our side when you look at it. It's the reverse of when we go down there. We never seem to win. They never seem to win when they come up here. So you'd think it would be the ideal perfect opportunity to give them a go. But do you upset a team that has played reasonably well, albeit the second half wasn't a shining example on Tuesday, but it was certainly better than we've seen in recent times. I think you'll probably name him on the bench and pretty much stick with the team that were had out on Tuesday, and gave a good account of themselves, bar that crazy 10 minutes in the first half. And then it's somebody that you can bring on second half for a bit of fresh legs and ease him into it, because he is still a very young player. Yes, he's played a lot of football, but he's brand new to the team. He's not going to know his teammates around him, so he probably just needs a little bit of time training with them and getting used to it, rather than chucking him in the deep end. But if we do it, I think he's more than capable of putting in a performance, because he is a player that kind of excites us. Deka and I have just been talking about him on Extra Time, and he's bringing something into the team that we've been missing for ages. We've mentioned this guy a million times, Mo Diarmi. This could finally be somebody that comes in and does a similar type of role to help us get up the pitch, which we've struggled to do.
I think the key is getting in that final third a lot more, and we do need a midfielders to pick up and start doing that. Deka, personally for me, I would like to see him start. I really would like to see him start. Who does that mean dropping for you? Would it be Shelvey or is it Hendrick? Well, see how I said that with a smile on my face.
Well, first of all, a comment about for me, he has to start, and I cast my mind back of a few. Like for example, look at Jesse Lingard there. Jesse Lingard played for West Ham the other day. Great. Just the other day, scored 2 goals. Hasn't kicked the ball in fuck knows how long. I remember Shelvey's debut for us against West Ham. Hadn't really played much football. Came in and just had an absolute worldie. Something about debuts, people really want to rise to the occasion. You know, that's just what it is, right? Because it's your first. You put that shirt on for the first time. You want to impress. You know all the rest of it. I think it's a perfect time to play him personally. I would drop Hendrick and I would play Hayden and Shelvey because I actually think Shelvey's been quite good, to be perfectly honest, the last couple of games since we've been a little bit more offensive minded. I would play Hayden, Shelvey, and then Willock is the third man in midfield, is the 4-3-3 we've been playing. And do you know what it is? I'm very excited by that thought. And I agree with what Mark was saying there about what he brings to her or possibly can bring to her. Someone that's willing to have that little bit of quality, can carry the ball. I don't know if you've seen you probably did. I remember watching the game live. That game Arsenal had with Liverpool where it was 5-4 or 5-5, I think it was. If you see his goal in that game, man, carries the ball from midfield, 30-yard screamer. I'm not expecting him to score 30 yards all the time, but what I mean is the confidence he's got. He did that at Anfield against Liverpool. You know, the confidence he's got to carry the ball and not scared to have a shot, you know.
There was a clip doing the rounds, obviously, when we signed him, and it was a game against Newcastle United where Shelvey just shrugs him off the ball and puts him out of touch. Then Willock goes down. Then 2 seconds later, he's on his feet and he chases Shelvey down. I know it's not hard to chase Shelvey down. I'm not giving him too much credit on this one, but he goes in with a sliding tackle, wins the ball back, and he's up and away. That's what we need. And Mark mentioned, I'll come back to you, Mark. You did mention Mo Diarmi. And I don't think they're a spit and double of each other. Of course not. They're all probably different sort of midfielders. But what you did get from Diarmi was that sort of response where he would tackle it and he would hold the ball, then move forward with the ball. He wouldn't try and pass it, then move on. He would literally try and drive that team forward and higher up the field. Is this what you're expecting from this kid?
Yeah, I mean that's when you see him playing for Arsenal. Probably more so in the European games where he's got a little bit more time and space. He loves to do that. He loves to pick up the ball and carry it forward. He's not. I'm saying he doesn't appear to be the type of player that just gets the ball into his feet and then looks for a pass and lays it off. He just likes to carry it and get into that final third. And he likes a shot. Sometimes they come off. Sometimes they don't. And you know, we don't often weigh in from midfield with goals. Although last season, obviously, Shelvey was the leading goal scorer, but that was with 6. So it's nice to have another option there, and something. He's maybe not going to be the most creative of players, but I think he'll still create chances just by actually carrying the ball forward, creating space, allowing those players that we've got kind of in and around and ahead of him to get chances. And I think it'll take some of the pressure off Almiron maybe, because he's probably the only one that does a similar type of role of picking up the ball and moving forward. Because he likes to do it.
I'm glad you said that, because that's the player that he reminds me of. Is a Miggy that is, you know, buzzing around, is confident on the ball, you know, has got that bit of quality and is willing to drive forward. The other thing is as well, though, I mean, we've talked very nicely there. We also can't expect too much. You know what I mean? We're almost setting him up here to be fucking totty. You know what I mean? Like, we need to. It is his first game, and we need to, you know, give him time and stuff. But I do think, in terms of what we've got in there at the moment, I can't see why he wouldn't start. Like, surely he's bringing more quality to the actual to the team. Do you know what I mean? So I would start him 100%. Me, like.
Yeah, I'll stay with you on this one, Deka. Obviously, Saint, he has been making an appearance. He has been coming off the bench there. Is it a time to start him, or is it still a little bit too early?
It's a difficult one because we don't know his fitness. But for me, I mean, he looks raring to go, in my opinion. I mean, like, we came on there for all right. Yes, he didn't have the greatest of games when he came in against Palace, but for me, he needs to be starting. And if I'm being really honest, I know you two and a lot of other people were quite happy with Fraser. I didn't think Fraser did very much the other night. I honestly didn't. And that doesn't mean that he should never play again. I'm certainly not saying that. But what I'm saying is, I think Saint is our best player and our most dangerous player. And for me, he needs to be starting. And I think he's obviously been training all the time at the moment since coming back. He's had a few sort of cameo appearances. And I think maybe now's the time where Bruce will actually start him in a game.
Right, so we'll get on to the crucial bits of this one. I'll come back to you, Mark, on this one. So, scoreline, what are you expecting from this one? Does it have to be a Newcastle United win? Does it have to be 3 points? Because we've dropped down to 16th, and it's getting very, very tight down there.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's as I said before, there it's a must-win game in my eyes. When you look at what's on the line, the games that are coming up, there's big pressure on Bruce to win this game. The players are going to give a reaction after obviously being disappointed in midweek. So I'm taking us to win 2-1.
Okay, Deka, what sort of performance are you looking at, and what sort of result are you going for?
Performance-wise, I really hope we continue with what we've been seeing the last couple of games. You know, I know we lost against Palace, but I mean, I was quietly impressed for most of it, for about an hour, I would say. It's probably arguably the best we've played, other than, of course, the Everton game. I'm with Mark. I think I'm going for 2-1. And I feel it's an absolute huge game for Bruce. Like, I feel this is the one that I don't know why I think that because I haven't heard anything from the media to say it is. But to me, if we lose this one, with Brighton winning there just the other night against Liverpool, for all I don't think Fulham will catch her. I really don't. It still puts her like fourth bottom, and that's a worry. And I think if he doesn't win this one, this could be it.
And when you look back, only 2-3 weeks ago, Steve Bruce said we weren't in a relegation fight. Then the week after, he said half of the Premier League were in a relegation scrap. Bruce, I said this months ago. We are in a relegation fight. Results were, of course, we're picking the odd win up and the odd point up. But performances, like we said last week on the podcast, performances weren't a true reflection of our league position. And right now, our luck was running out. And of course, like we said, we've had a couple of decent games in regards to performances have been better. I wouldn't say they've been fantastic, but they've been better than what we've been used to this season. But I'm still massively worried that we could end up in the bottom three at some point this season in the future. I honestly think it might happen, and that's up to those above Bruce, because his time ran out a long time ago for me. And of course, we've had the recent appointment of Graham Jones, but let's be honest with you. Is he going to have that much of an impact right now in the season? Of course, we're seeing better performances, but we need points. We don't necessarily need performances, but we need points at the end of the day. I'm looking at that game, and like I said on the end of the stream, which we did at the weekend there, that we have to get 3 points from this. Anything other than a win is a negative for me. You can't come away from that game with a single point and think, oh, we'll take it. You need 3 points. It's 3 points or Bruce has to go for me.
I mean, any other club, 1 win in 12 games, your manager is hanging on there with, with his last breath, if he hasn't gone already. So to look at it and think that he's so safe in that position is just ridiculous.
That's a worrying thing, though, Mark. He's safe as houses. He's safe as houses for me right now.
I think what gives us this, it's a false sense. Yeah, it's a false sense of security, or whatever you want to call it. If we were 1 win in 13 or whatever Mark's just said there, I think it's 4 wins in 20 or whatever it's been, and we were playing the way I've seen we'll play the last 2 games, I would be incredibly worried. But I feel as if the last 2 games, because I've seen something different. I've seen the players are still playing for him. I've seen a change in style. I've seen a change in formation. That's what's given us this maybe perhaps false sense of, I think things can get better. However, having said that, over the longevity of time, Bruce is not the right man. So we all know, no matter how good performances may get, and even if we win on Saturday, it's still not enough. It doesn't really matter because we all want Bruce out. But I do think that maybe that's what's leading me to this false sense of that the last 2 games I've seen something different, and I think it is. I have seen an improvement. But then you might quickly go down the McLaren route of we're playing quite well, but we're still not winning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another worry, you know what I mean?
You're feeling like that, Deka, because you've got some hope.
Hope. Yeah, I've got hope. Yeah.
Right, lads, I've got nothing to add to this preview. When I see you want to add anything extra in there in regards to any players or anything in regards to coaching, management, anything?
I'd just be interested to see where Graham Jones starts the game.
Yes, that's a shout, mate. That is a shout.
I've heard he's going to be playing right midfield.
So we'll just touch on that because it wasn't really picked up by us the other night. So Graham Jones spent the first half in the stands watching the game from above. I would like to know if that was his choice or if that was Bruce's choice to do it there because, like we said, Bruce was a little bit embarrassed by Graham Jones barking the orders at the players during the Everton game. Has that been Bruce's decision or has it been Jones's decision to go and sit from the stands?
I honestly think, and I hope this isn't the case. Of course, I really do, but I honestly think that people, especially on Twitter and stuff, I think they report back to Bruce and everybody's son or whoever. He seems to know what's going on, and I feel that he's seen the sort of really good praise Jones got for that Everton win. Well, really, let's be fair. People were saying it was Jones that won the game, right? It wasn't, let's be fair here.
Then obviously the fault was after the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I honestly feel that Bruce has went, listen, mate, like for this one, go upstairs and basically get out of view of these publicity shots that you're getting. And I really feel that it was Bruce's decision to do that. And I mentioned it on Extra Time there just before that, Bruce has said, and not just Bruce, but other people have said that, he wasn't there long enough to, impact the game as much or the game plan as much. But for me, and as I said this just before, if he didn't have the time, how was he able to be front line on the touchline given so many instructions?
Exactly.
He knew exactly what that game plan was because I believe it was his game plan.
Oh, no, but remember what Bruce says. Bruce said that he was going to change it before Jones arrived.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I mentioned this before, what we've just chatted about, my honest worry is that there's a lot of chefs there at the moment. You've got Steve Agnew, you've got Clements there, you've got Bruce himself, now you've got Jones. I don't really see how that can end well. I do not see how that can end well because if it's Jones coming up with all these wonderful ideas, Bruce is going to get pissed off, right? And then Agnew's going to think, well, what's my role here? He's overruling me, and all of a sudden you've got this issue, and I can't see it ending well. Like,
yeah,
so,
I'm in agreement.
I look at it and say, maybe Graham's looked at it and said, hang on, I'm getting all of the,
Your pal Graham. Is this like the Gateshead Union or something?
It's Gateshead Graham. Maybe he's
Gateshead Guardiola, mate. Get my real name.
That's it. He could have, had the opposite and said, actually, look, they're putting all of this to me and taking the kind of the spotlight off you. Why don't I take a back seat and go and sit in there? And we've seen it loads of times where coaches and managers used to do it. There's quite a few managers used to spend. Allardyce did it. Used to sit in the stand for the first game because you get that better picture of the pitch. Yeah. You can see the layout and everything like that. So I don't know, but apparently, like in the first half, he started off up there and then he came down, had a big conversation and stuff like that, and then went back up. Because I can remember when we were actually watching the game, I made a comment to say that we hadn't actually seen him, and then he suddenly appeared in the dugout, and he was in the back of it. So, and that was at half time. So, I don't know. This is the thing. It's going to be, it's almost which side do you believe, isn't it? Because it could be something completely, nothing at all to do with the situation, then innocent, and because one side of the argument will grab onto it. Oh, Bruce is terrible. He doesn't want him in. He's not his man, because that's a lot of the narrative that's going around. Versus the opposite side, where Bruce is saying, "Yeah, I wanted him to come in. I needed the help and all of that kind of thing." So he would welcome the ideas. He would welcome him coaching and stuff like that because that's why he's brought him in. So, but as with everything at Newcastle, we don't know the true story because we never get told. We never know what's going on at that club. So you're left to make up your own mind and decide which side of the fence you sit on, whether you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, whether you think it's to help Bruce or whether you think it's to undermine Bruce. You'll have your own opinion and you'll make up your story based on that opinion.
I think that's a good way to end it, mate. So, score lines, we've got Deka and Mark both with 2-1. Newcastle wins. I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle United. And
Full house.
we're probably all going to be wrong.
That's it. We're going to lose because the only times that we're ever confident and we all tip a win, we always get beat.
One thing before we go then, if we lose, is he gone, Chris? Is he going to go?
No, he won't be.
Oh, right,
but he has to. He has to, but he won't be.
I'm the same opinion of Chris. He should be gone. I don't think he will.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately the same as well. So we're a full house on both sides of the argument here. Let's go on the result.
No matter what happens, he's still there. Come the next couple of games. That is gonna be the case no matter what. Right. So before we leave, I just want to say thanks to everybody who has watched the video or listened to the audio podcast, because it is going out on both platforms. This one, and we do have plenty more stuff coming. Like the lads have just been talking about, Extra Time will be released first thing on Friday morning, so that'll be out there. Just announced earlier today on Thursday evening that on Monday night we will be doing a live question and answer with Ben Jacobs. So hopefully he should have a lot to say in regards to takeover, the geopolitics over in Saudi and the Middle East. So I'm looking forward to that one. And that's it. That's me all done. Thank you very much for joining us, boys. And let's see what Saturday brings. Defeat.
Enjoy the game.